are the signs that someone is a narcissist? So number one, they have grandiose, and grandiose, we say it's an exaggerated power, an exaggerated personal feeling and feeling of importance, like they are, over everyone. Like they only associate, they also they like associating with power, they like associating with people of high importance. They have very elevated self-esteem, and by elevated I mean there is what we call healthy self-esteem, but there is the one where you are not empathetic. It's your way or highway. No one else has a room. Like if you say it, this is a full stop. There is no comma. They're not flexible. How they want things done, it's just their way. And please note, there is a big difference between perfectionism and narcissist. So it's also good to get to differentiate between the two, because even perfectionism falls in a different personality disorder. So for narcissistic, we have a lot of things that we get to see. These are people who are not empathetic. They can just say, anytime we say they are even psychopaths, they can just say something and it's all about them. If doesn't benefit them, it's not helping them. Like this is someone you can go and you tell, I am going through loss and grief, maybe have lost a loved one. And for them, they're just so much worried. Are we not going out for dinner? Are we not going out? Are we not going on with our normal plan? I mean, yeah, like they're not empathetic. They're not there for you. Another thing we say is that they require some excessive admiration. They just want people to talk about them. They want to have and to feel that sense of power, like they're the people leading. They have a pattern. If everything is not about them, then other people, they are against them. So for you to get to know the person that you're dealing with, or the person, most of the time we see such personalities in marriage setup, in friendship setups, even at workplace, and especially when we have bosses who are narcissists. I think at time, because these are the people who will just, look down on everyone. Like it's not about you. It's not about your performance. It's about them earning the credits. It's about them riding on whatever everyone else is doing. So these are people who really want to get away with things. These are people who, apart from having the self-exaggerated and being arrogant, because equally they're very arrogant. And one thing I want to get to know is when we talk about personality disorders, we mean there is a defect. So for this person to behave the way they do, because most of the time they will be there and they might even bring you down because it's all about them. So you going to work, if it's not benefiting them, then it's not the right thing. So you find, like in marriage setup, these are people that we get married to, and you find even the marriage institution lasting for 6 months becomes very hard. Why? Because you get to know there is a lot of self-importance feeling, there is a lot of sense of power. This person really doesn't want to be controlled in whatever. They don't want to be accountable, but they expect you to be accountable. If it's at place of work, this is the person who will expect you to be workaholic, report to work Sunday to Sunday, day and night, and irrespective, they will not mind that you also require your time for burnout, you need your me time. They will not mind should the deadlines not be met. They will not even be there to get to understand you. They'll just be wanting to know how comes you've not been able to do this. They're the people who expect a lot to happen within such a small duration of time. So they are equally, they do not want to see others, and especially their peers, doing well and being successful in their life. We say they are envious of others. They want to be envied, and they are also envious of others. Like whatever is happening to your life, they want it to happen to them. So there are people who will work extra to ensure they get what you have, not because they have the commitment or the drive to achieve it, but just to ensure no one is above them. So we say these are defects, personality traits. Personality disorders, they are defect traits. And so when we want to look, we say there is no definite cause of narcissism. Could be environmental, could be genes, could just be anything. Maybe it's someone who grew up without being admired, and now that they've grown, they just want to get, how we talk about overcompensation, because I grew up without anyone telling me that I look nice, or without, whatever was a lack in their upbringing is what now they are privileged to get. So they just want to be envied. They want everyone to be clapping for them. They want everyone to be there for them. Their life is about competition. Their life is about overcompensating. Like whatever they grew up having as a lack, they just want to have so much of it. And one thing we say when we talk about narcissists, it's always good to get to know they can drain you. If you're there, you're with a narcissistic person, get to mind about yourself, be mindful about your wellness, because this person is not empathetic, and this person can easily drain you. Like they can just get everything from you. They will not care. They will not mind whether maybe this is the only food you had for supper, as long as it's their food. For me, it's all about them. And you find even when it comes to parenting, these are parents who will dress expensively. I'm not saying it's not okay, but not even get time to buy their kids good clothes, not be there for their kids, because for them, everything is about them. Even those kids, it's all about the dad or the mom who should, who should be like the most important person, who should be given the entire attention. So what we say is maybe it's something they grew up that was a lack in their upbringing. So they're doing this to compensate, you see, which means there is a lot of processing, a lot of healing that is required for this person to be okay. It could be also they grew up in a very open environment where they were mostly praised more than other kids, where they were clapped more than other kids, whether they've done wrong or right, where they were made feel they're so important. Again, remember we talked about parenting styles. We have permissive. Permissive, I like describing it as kababaka mama. Most of the time, the kababaka mama, they end up becoming a narcissist. Why? Because they expect the same way they were brought up by permissive parents and getting away with everything they want. They still expect the same pattern to go on. So when we look at it, it's talking on both extremes. When they've grown in a permissive environment, they're getting away with everything, they're getting whatever they want. If something happens in school, the parent will go there and they will not even mind to get to know what exactly happened to my daughter or my son. They'll be against the school, the institution. Why did you do this? They are busy attacking other than getting to know what exactly transpired. So when they grow up in such environment, some, not to say all, but some may end up also adapting it as a pattern, because they do not know order. They do not know how is it to be with other people, how is it to be empathetic, and yet the mark they were taught is it's all about me. Also, again, when you look at it from this other side, when they are just growing up with the lack, to the other extreme, again, when we revisit our parenting, you will also, we talk about authoritative and authoritarian. Now, in this case, we are talking about authoritarian, and also it can apply for neglectful parents, So they were never given the right emotional security. They were never emotionally attached with their parents. They were just there. It's what we say, the kids were just left to parent themselves. Again, this might result to them growing up to be narcissistic, because they were never shown care. They were never shown love. So what are you telling them about extending some care to you? So these people, they're hurting. They need to heal. They need to process. And it so happened that the person near them, remember, we keep on saying, hurt people, hurt people. Hurt people will always hurt people, because you can never give what you do not have. So what happened is, the people near them, they fall a victim, and they'll always be made feel like they're the reason why this other person is not maybe becoming what they want to become, is not progressing in life. So we say just be present, be mindful about yourself, because if you care or you wait for a narcissistic person to change, it might take ages, or they may never even get to change. But hey, look here. For some people, this drains them. They realize in a marriage setup, maybe they are in their third, fourth marriage, and now they just realize I could be the problem. But remember, this is never their first priority. By the time they are coming to say, I could be the problem, it has taken a toll on them. It has gone to extreme. Some maybe have been hip-hopping from one job to the other, and they just, of course, they'll come with all the excuses, or they will feel they're very important at their workplace, and so it was this boss who was against them, or it was this person against. So it will always be other people, locus of control. Like everything is caused by other external factors and not about you, until maybe they get to a point where they realize, oh my goodness, within a span of 1 year or 2 years, have served like 9, 10 employers. I could be the problem. Or until maybe someone brings some insight to them, where you find in their circle of friendship, they end up having no one that is close. Of course, I know and I respect that most people nowadays, they want to keep their circle very small. But again, we also have situations where this person has no system of support completely. Should something happen, they do not even have anyone to go to. Is it the family members, their friends, the colleagues, and all that? And they realize, I could be the one on the wrong, or I could be the one with the problem. So when they come, of course, we apply different techniques, behavioral changes, and the most important is to process. Are we manifesting childhood traumas in a narcissistic way? Are we manifesting bad and poor parenting in a narcissistic way? Are we manifesting the addiction that we grew up seeing with our siblings, our older siblings, with our parents, in a narcissistic way? Are we manifesting maybe our school life in a narcissistic way? What is this that is just coming out as a narcissist, So our work is just to get to evaluate. We normally call it mental health or mental status evaluation, to get to know, is there something? Of course, for any personality trait, there is a lot of things to process, and to heal at the same time. So yes, because I know these are questions that has been asked so many times, like, can a narcissistic person change? The answer is no, they can never change until they agree that they need help, they seek help, and upon getting help, they get to process. Please note, they can never change. Change means you can just wake up and decide. It's a decision. This is not something that can happen on their own, because also they are good at pretense. It's good we get to know. And you might point out, and especially during the initial stages, they might pretend to be the best of the best for you, because I've had cases and scenarios where people will come and say, this is not the person I married, or this is not my boss, this is not the person who invited me for that interview, this is not my friend that we used to go out for road trips with, and all that. They just changed along the way. So these people, they know how to mask themselves. Remember, we said they can do anything for their gain. They know how to mask until they get what they want. After they get what they want, carelessly, irresponsibly, they just show their true colors. So with this, what are we saying? They can never make a decision to change, but they can process, get to heal, and heal to full recovery. They can process whatever reasons and issues. So I want to get to know, any narcissistic person is someone who is very, very hurting. This is a hurting inner child manifesting to be a very strong outer kid, to be very strong and to be very powerful. Remember, we've said they want to associate themselves with the who is who. They're the people who like dropping names, they'll just tell you, just wait a minute, I'm talking to a certain governor, maybe politicians, big CEOs in organizations. They have a very big network of support, as per what they say. But again, when you stay close to them, you realize these are people they've also, maybe you are more closer to the people they talk about more than them. So what you're saying is their inner child is very hurting. They need to process, to heal in order to recover fully. But however, how that manifests, or their coping mechanism, and please remember, they do this unconsciously most of the time. They will do it unconsciously. Along the way, they adapt it as a pattern, it becomes a behavior, and so they think, this is who I am, this is my behavior, this is my habit, and that's why it's either my way or the highway. And they're also the people who are most likely to cause chaos every now and then. So what we say, if you are not able to convince a narcissistic person to seek the required help, to call Allsmiles Therapy Center to come. We take them through, because here we do not require medication. We require they come to a professional counseling center. They come and see myself, our psychologist. If you're not able to convince them to do that, get to know you will not be able to convince them to change. And if they do, it will not be short-lived. Many deaths we've seen, whether in marriage, in workplace, those triangles and all that is as a result of maybe some exaggerated sense of power or sense of belonging. And so we tell people, is it in a marriage setup? It's okay. It's still okay to walk out when you can walk, than just because either way you will still walk out, than you leave that marriage in a coffin. It's always good. Is it in a work environment? It's still okay. So what we say, if you're the other person, the victim of a narcissistic person, set your boundaries, have very clear boundaries. Set your boundaries and ensure, should they be breached, it's your time to walk out. Just get to sit with them, because setting boundaries is more about you and not more about them. Don't initiate talks about them changing, because they may not change. This is who they are, and unless they want to process, and it takes time. I'm not telling you this is something that they will even come for 10, 20 sessions and we say, hooray, now we are over. Our narcissistic person has now become the most ideal person. No. We are not guaranteeing. Definitely, this comes with awareness. Remember, when we talk about personality disorders, this is a threat in them. But the moment they are more aware, it means they will be knowing when it's not them talking, but the threat in them. Like whatever it's showing, or whoever that person who is shouting is actually not me. I am shouting because of my trait. Like, it's not about other people, it's about me. So it's all about them taking back, and now it stops being that everything bad that happens must be caused by other external people, other external factors, and not themselves. It's about them learning how also it's an entire behavioral change therapy for them also to readjust. This is person who maybe was never admired, who was never told I love you, who was never given care. Okay, fine. Most of our upbringing, we were never told I love you. And I think we've seen this maybe when we are parenting our kids, or now that everything is evolving, and even our parents, they are now evolving, they will, send the love to us. But again, that's not what I mean. This is someone who, they never said it, but they showed us love. So this is someone who never got the love. And so starting to readjust that takes time. It's a process. And so what happened most of the time is all about coping mechanism, and how now to just have some positive ways of adaptation other than maladaptive, where you cause chaos and you're just this person who no one wants to associate with. So we've talked about them being exploitative, not being. One thing I've had people asking is, are narcissistic people good people? They are good people, but very, very bitter and very, very hurting people. They're good people. They need love. They need, we be there, we create that awareness that, hey, I think you need help. Hey, no one can be as powerful as you are and you're still in this status. I think you need help. Because most of the time, the narcissistic person doesn't know that they actually carry the trait of narcissism. It might take even centuries for them to come and realize. And you might see they're only, holding on one area. It's only my marriage that failed. For my workplace, it's just my many bosses. I was just not lucky that my many bosses were not there for me. Even in the house, they will come cause chaos, and, they'll can become like physical violent, emotional violent. And the much they can say, I grew up seeing this happening to maybe my dad, my grandfather, you're not any special, or these are things that are happening every day. So they're not empathetic. We've said these are hurting people. I hope you've learned something about narcissistic personality disorder. We have 10 of them, and we'll be just sharing and discussing much more about it. My name is Trizah 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐁𝐄, Allsmiles. I'm a psychologist and the CEO at Allsmiles Therapy Center, the leading organization in professional counseling, psychology training, diploma, certificates, and short courses in psychology. as well as workplace employees, awareness, resilience, and wellness, plus leadership, psychology, and organization, entire EAP programs. And we are here. And yeah, we are also offering rehab services as well as psychiatric care. Thank you so much. Until next time.